Some games are good, some games are bad, some games are great, but what makes them so? Welcome to TheKeyPoint, a series looking at aspects of games that make them what they are. Today we'll be looking at Homeworld, and why its use of true 3D and permanent fleets makes this one of the best RTS games of all time. Homeworld was a real-time strategy game, or RTS in short, that was published by Relic Entertainment as its first game back in 1999. It's set in space, and in the single-player campaign, you play as the Higarans. The game opens up with the Higarans testing a prototype mothership as they take the first steps into space from the desert planet. But this seems to draw the ire of unknown opponents, and the Higarans' homeworld is utterly destroyed. Their only chance to survive is to seek the titular homeworld. The single-player campaign will see you travel across the galaxy via a series of jumps. Each jump corresponds to a new map in the campaign, and you'll take on progressively more difficult challenges. That's no different from any other RTS though, so what makes it so special? There's many positive factors to the game, such as music, the plot, the voice messages during combat, and graphical effects among others. But two that are unique to Homeworld are the use of true 3D and a persistent fleet. In space, there's no such thing as fixed coordinates. There's only relative coordinates, so up, down, left and right are only in relation to another object. In space, attacking from any angle, even from below, is entirely possible, and using unusual angles to catch enemies off guard would be a regularly used strategy. But games don't often reflect that. If you play an RTS, at most you'll have a pair of 2D planes. One for the ground and one for air units. That simulates flying units, and StarCraft is a good example of that. Even movies don't often show the full use of the properties of space combat. You'll typically see two fleets approaching each other head-on. The intention is to maximize the spectacle, rather than show any realistic tactics. Homeworld is unique in the way it integrates the reality of space in its gameplay. You can approach from any angle, and the tactical management system makes it seamless to integrate verticality to your orders. And the design of units rewards this type of thinking. You'll have a variety of units, ranging from small fighters to large capital ships. Each has different speed and maneuverability properties. As you might expect, small craft tend to maneuver faster, and heavier ships are more sluggish in the way they turn. This has a real impact, because weapons also have their own distinct properties. Small guns will tend to have high fire rates and wider angles of coverage, but will not cause much damage. Great for countering smaller craft. Larger guns will hit harder, but have slow fire rates and small angles of coverage. They're more suitable for attacking capital ships. But combine both the ship and weapon properties, and that has a significant effect. Say an enemy squadron of capital ships is spotted heading in a certain direction. How would you take them out? One approach would be to use small craft that can use their greater speed and maneuverability to neutralize the enemy's greater firepower. That type of rock paper scissors design, where one unit cancels another, is common in most RTS games. And it often becomes two groups of units shooting at each other until one group is destroyed or withdraws. All other things being equal, the unit that cancels the other will tend to win. But in Homeworld, you can use tactical positioning. Most capital ships have their heavier weapons pointing in the direction they're traveling towards, meaning that if you approach them from a different direction, you can put them at a disadvantage. If you can do that with anti-capital ships like the Iron Cannon frigates, you can easily destroy a significant number before they can bring their own heavy armament to bear. Formations also play a part in where the enemy is exposed and how much firepower you can bring to bear. The wall formation allows all of your ships to fire, but is very weak to attacks from anywhere but head-on. The sphere covers all angles equally, but is not conducive to movement. The column is flexible, it puts you at smaller but equal disadvantage from all angles. The combination of the true 3D environment plus differences in ship and weapon properties translates to gameplay that's closer to naval fleet simulators like the classic Harpoon than most RTSs. The player is able to express their tactical ability to their advantage. In most RTS games, campaigns are a series of individual maps. Each mission is completely independent from each other, in that you must build your recruiting infrastructure and your army from scratch. You're only limited by the resources available in that map, and preserving units is irrelevant as long as you defeat the enemy in this map. You're going to start with a blank slate on the next map anyway. But Homeworld turns out on its head. Your fleet is permanent. Whatever you have at the end of the previous mission will carry on to the next. That makes each unit, regardless of how small it is, valuable. All the resources, every enemy ship you can manage to capture counts. All the research you do, they all matter. This mechanic synergizes well with the game's narrative.
No one's left. Everything's gone. Karak is burning.
Karak is being consumed by a firestorm.
During the first mission, you try and retrieve the cryo trays holding the last 600,000 members of your race. It doesn't matter how many you actually retrieve, but this sequence is a good microcosm for the game's overall narrative of struggling to keep the last remnants of your race alive. Every one of your people matters.
The cryo trays are under attack. Defend them.
Towards the later parts of the campaign, you might find yourself with a very weak fleet if you're being careless. Or if you've been careful, you can have a very powerful one.
Cryo trays loaded and secure. Hyperspace module charged. There's nothing left for us here. Let's go.
The game has a unit limit, so you're not free to construct an unlimited number of units. But a useful bug in the game is that captured ships allow you to go beyond this ship limit. This can lead to some truly gigantic fleets. One thing that becomes apparent when you play this game is that it follows a consistent and self-reinforcing framework in the way everything is put together. The plot says that you're the last remnants of your people. The permanence of your fleet reinforces that message by encouraging you to value every craft, no matter how small. The true 3D nature of the battlefield allows you to maximize your tactical advantages in order to minimize your losses. If you're judicious and wise in your decisions, your people will find themselves with a new homeworld. If you're not, then your people will perish in the void of space.
If you will not join, then die. There is no withdrawal from the garden.
It all comes down to your choices, and Homeworld is a game that goes out of its way to make sure they matter. That is what makes Homeworld such an outstanding example among real-time strategy games. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back next time to discuss another key point.